Yo, what is going on, Senpai Squad? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're reviewing episode 75 of Boruto. Yes, I've finally gotten around to reviewing this 1 hour special that we had, part with episode 74, and honestly, I saw all of the talk about it on Twitter saying it was not a great episode, and I do think that maybe it was blown way out of proportion slightly. However, I do understand that this episode was very disappointing. It didn't feel like that core Naruto Boruto type of suspense feeling that you're used to. It was more like a cartoony, it was more like a Pokemon episode. If I have to think of another series to compare this episode to, it'd probably be something along the lines of a Pokemon anime episode. But anyway, saying that, it did start off with an almost menacing-ish dark tone. I did get a bit pleasantly surprised because, this doesn't seem too bad, because we had these snake/humanoid people. I can't remember the names. They had stupid, crazy, long names. I'm sure their names probably have some sort of symbolism in Japanese lore, but honestly, I didn't know who they were. And each of these, I think there was 3 snake women, and they each had their own trial. And basically, they were told that if the suspecting victims would fail their trials, they would then be given permission to eat them. So the snake women had their own trials in which they were set up so that they would try and make the people take part in them fail, therefore resulting in the snake women being able to eat the contestants. Which is a pretty dark type of scenario. I mean, I don't know how they managed to mess it up so much and take what sounds like a really dark scenario and make it such a childish type thing. But basically, the first trial, this girl kind of left out all this brilliant, delicious looking buffet of food, which obviously, Chocho ran straight for. And basically, if they'd eaten the food, they would have become like poison, because I think it was really, I don't know, the food was very weird. Let's just keep it that way. But basically, if they'd taken a bite and started to digest the food, they would, I think, become poisoned, be paralyzed, and then the woman would be able to eat them. And Boruto kind of picked up on it, especially when the girl mentioned Mitsuki for whatever reason. I'm not gonna lie, these trials, some of them, this one in my opinion was quite an okay trial. I can see where they're coming from. I mean, when you look at it from the snake women's perspective, they're meant to create a trial that the other people do not know is a trial, and if they fail the trial, she's allowed a feast. So just laying out free food and telling them take a bite of the food, it's a pretty simple trial for the snake woman to get a simple feast out of. Not a great ton of people are going to suspect that it's a trap. So personally, I didn't have that much of a problem with the trial. I thought it was one of the better ones. I'll get into the absolute atrocious trial shortly. But basically, Boruto kind of picked up on that. She was a bit suspicious when she mentioned Mitsuki. Honestly, there was no reason for her to mention Mitsuki. It was these trials were extremely rushed, and that's where they kind of fell off a little bit, in my opinion, how rushed they were. They weren't written great. The way Boruto would overcome each trial was just, it wasn't great. The writing was a bit forced, very bad, and very, very convenient for Boruto to accomplish the trials. It was that, like I said, very Pokemon-esque in my opinion. So the second trial, this trial is the one. This trial, man, where do I begin? Basically, there's a bunch of fog, and Boruto gets split up by from the rest of the group, which in and of itself is a bit, really. I mean, we don't even really get a full explanation, I don't think, as to what happened to Sarada and Shikadai and etc. It was just, we literally just followed Boruto's trials, but Boruto got separated from them, and then this crazy snake woman came and bit him on the neck. Or is that this trial? No, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's a different trial, but he was split up and he was following this woman who was kind of floating around like a witch, let alone more of a witch than a snake. And she lured him into this room where a massive door came down, and there was little cutouts in the door where little shapes could go into. And straight away I'm like, no, don't do it, don't do it. Don't have a nursery game be the trial, because you literally give 2-year-olds this to do, and they love it. Like, literally just little shapes, and you put them in the hole in the wall. Like, that's all Boruto had to do, which is just. And what can I just say, we see Boruto, I'll put a picture of it on screen now, we see Boruto go to put a square, like a cube, into, I think, a diamond hole. Like, Boruto, you're smarter than that, Boruto. Just come on, my man. But the way he again, just the writing, it was very rushed, very forced, the way he got out of it. Basically, there was one left and he couldn't find a shape to fit the hole, and the woman was saying, oh, I love drained out chakra, if you give up, I can't wait to feast on you, blah, blah, blah. And then Boruto goes up, stands up to the wall to have one more go, and then Mitsuki's headband drops on the floor, and then Boruto stands on a rock and it breaks. And that's literally how he ended up figuring it out, because Mitsuki's headband conveniently dropped to the ground, and then Boruto conveniently picked up a stone, and then Boruto conveniently broke another stone into the exact perfect dimensions and size to fit into the hole. I mean, the one word to sum up this trial was convenient. The writing was, it could have been done a lot better. I understand the approach they wanted to do. They wanted to show that Mitsuki had an impact on it, and Boruto was doing this all for Mitsuki, but it just felt very lackluster, and I did think, again, very, very convenient. Right then, so this is the next trial. This is the one where he gets bitten by the snake, and at first I was like, wow, is Boruto gonna get some sort of like sage snake curse mark type deal? Like, this is like what Orochimaru did to Sasuke. But no, it turns out that he was put into a genjutsu after being bitten by the snake, and out the fog basically came up all of his friends, Sarada and Team 10, and basically this snake's attempt to just kind of whittle him down so that he would fail the trial and she could eat him was to break his heart. And basically she made all of his friends come up surrounding him, just constantly ridiculing him, making him feel bad, saying, you're the reason we're going to be labelled as rogue ninjas, you're the reason Mitsuki ran away, you knew nothing about Mitsuki, blah blah blah. You call him, you say your friend, and it was Boruto does realise, and he does say that, you know, you really know my biggest weakness and where to hit me to hurt me. And I thought the idea and the prospect of it was actually quite good, and it was quite creepy seeing them all turn into like snakes. So I don't think this trial was terrible. I thought out of all of them, it probably had the most promise to become a very interesting trial. But because they tried to cram down 3 trials into one episode and it was all rushed, it all came crumbling down very soon, as Boruto essentially just talk no jutsu'd his way out, and the snake was like, wow, what a tremendous will or willpower, and it's kind of like, no, he just knew it was a genjutsu at the end of the day. So the trial was okay. It was kind of cool. I appreciate what they were attempting to do. I just feel as though because of certain circumstances it fell short. And then we got the White Snake Sage. Now this triggered me a little bit, because the White Snake Sage, I didn't really remember who he/she was back when we found out that Boruto was going to go visit her. I had to go look up, and I was like, that is cool. That is extremely cool. That the design, everything, I was like, I do start to remember it now. This is going to be really interesting. And then we see the sage, and she's in a human form, and it's just a little old granny, and it loses all sense of just danger, importance, badassery, all of that type of stuff. It just falls short again, which is kind of what this entire episode consisted of. Just cool ideas just falling short for whatever reason, whether it be poor writing or so on. I do hope we'll see the sage in a snake form at some point in the arc. However, after Ryuchi Cave is done, How much are we going to see her? I really don't know. But I just hope we get to see her actual true form, because that design is freaking cool. This design, she just looks like a Hidden Leaf Elder. Like, it's a bit lame. Boruto then proceeds to explain that he's not actually here to acquire Snake Sage jutsu powers. He's actually here just to get the Snake Sage to analyze Mitsuki's snake, and she's basically saying, I'll do it under one condition. I need you to go and fight, I can't remember the snake's name, it's something like Garanga, something along those lines. We see him, I believe, in the preview for next week's episode, or not next week, but the next episode. He's this huge giant red snake. To be fair, he does look really badass, and she's basically saying that he's been giving me a bit of trouble, and instantly I'm like, you're the white snake sage. And I understand that the route they might be going down is that, you know, she's quite old now and she can't deal with foes such as Garanga anymore, but it's like, surely you can deal with this guy. No, maybe not. The other part is, maybe this is kind of like her trial. Maybe she has her own trial, which is again kind of what I'm heading towards. Maybe Garanga's in on this, and if they take the reverse scale, bang, they would have passed her trial, and then she will analyze the snake and so on and so forth. That's another thing I can kind of see, and that, I think, could be the more likely approach to it, but we'll see. All in all, this episode was far from perfect. Far from perfect. However, it was not the worst in the series. No chance was it the worst. I just think it was everything was a bit too convenient, fell into place way too easily. The writing was clearly very rushed, and they tried to condense so many different ideas that had potential to be very cool and very good and very memorable, but they just tried to cram them down into one episode, resulting to just feel extremely lackluster. I do have confidence because the start of this arc was so good. It had a very dark, menacing tone, and it felt very good. I just feel these two episodes, they were just a bit very lackluster. I feel like it is going to get back to its best parts, and this arc I don't think is anywhere near finishing just yet. I know next episode we're going to get a new opening, so I do wonder now if we've kind of hit a shift in tone in the arc maybe, and we're going to get into the deep stuff. Maybe we've hit the halfway point. Now we're going to start understanding a bit more about what Mitsuki's doing, who these group of bad guys are, blah blah, in the new opening. We'll see. But yeah, I have confidence that this arc will get back to being very good. It's going to be a long arc, evidently. I mean, it already feels like it's been maybe 6 episodes, has it been? I'm not too sure. But guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Make sure to smash the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're not already to become a member of the Senpai Squad, and I'll see you guys in another video. But until then, peace.